Hey, friends, Bill here. We're back. Got Brad here with us this afternoon. We're going to bring him on right now, not wasting any time, and hear his amazing story to gospel open air preaching. Here we go. Brad, how you doing?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
Good. How was UTC today?
Hey, it went pretty well. Yeah. Out there maybe about an hour and a half or so.
Yeah? What'd y'all do?
Well, we had one corner on the main campus there where the students go through. They go between the buildings, kind of like a walkway corridor, and we preached the word a couple times, handed out gospel tracts, and we had some Jehovah Witnesses right across from us, and so just praying they heard the true gospel also as we were there, and didn't have like too much interaction with folks, but people were responsive to taking tracks, so we were thankful for that.
Well, cool. So obviously, was it a year ago, 2 years ago when we met the first time?
At least.
You weren't thinking about it.
We're about almost 3 years now, aren't we?
Isn't that long? Time flies. You weren't thinking about preaching on the campus of UTC when you went to work every day. So here's what the first thing I want you to tell me, if you can remember when you just kind of woke up in a sense and said, hey, I think I want to do this, or describe that moment. If there was, I assume there was a moment or moments when this began to come alive for you as something you thought, believed the Lord was doing. Describe that.
Yeah, definitely. It was a time in my life when I'd been searching, kind of God's will on where He would have me to, I guess, serve and proclaim His word, and kind of felt burdened by the Spirit to do that. And so came across this man right here I'm talking with.
What happened? Where were you?
Where was I?
That's true. That's true. Yeah, like where were you? Were you sitting on the couch? Were you at church? Or
yeah, man, I was sitting.
Give me some details.
Yeah, man, I was in the recliner here in my living room. Yeah. And I've been praying about it, and just
what were you praying about?
To be used in an evangelistic way, because I felt like that was kind of my gift, and
Okay, so you were praying, God, show me what to do.
Yeah.
All right. Then what happened? You got a lightning bolt that says, "Hey, go outside. What's up?"
I got a lightning bolt called Google that
All right.
That showed me Sports Fan Outreach, and I reached out to you, brother, and then
okay. Yeah, I remember talking to you. I remember where I was. So let's just back up just a tad before we move on from this.
Okay.
So, and then we're gonna take a couple steps. But there was a time when you knew you. When was there a time? When was the last time you weren't thinking about doing anything for God? You were going to work, raising your kids, going to church. When was that?
Before that.
Yeah. When was that? Like the last time you remember? I was just living my life. Like, I'm not trying to compare yourself to me, but like I was doing my thing, and I just remember there's one Sunday at First Baptist in Atlanta. I'm like, holy cow, evangelism. So there's a definite. All of a sudden, I'm thinking about when was the time when you weren't thinking about evangelism, and then you started to think about your gifts. Like what was happening?
I would think either one of two things, Bill. I was either living a nominal Christian life, or God truly rebirthed me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And gave me that desire, and that would have been after the summer, around the summer of 2019.
Okay. All right.
I started working in my life.
So all of a sudden the Spirit works and you start thinking about these things, right?
Yes.
And then you thought, hey, evangelism is my gift. Is that what came first, or were there other things that you began to think of?
I mean, I'd done some, Sunday school teaching, and still do from time to time. But I think as far as the gifting from the Lord, would certainly be more in that evangelistic way. So,
okay. How long did it take you to come to that and say, okay, that's my gift? What did you do to figure that out?
A few months, and prayer, a lot of prayer.
Yeah.
I can't pray enough. I don't pray enough. I need to pray more. But anyways, A lot of prayer and discussion with a couple strong brothers.
Okay.
You
All
know,
right.
um, and then, like I said, reached out to you guys, and that's how it started.
So you talked to some like you. Were you going to Brainerd Baptist then?
Um, no, I was
Okay.
not at that time, not at that exact time, but I uh, was at another church, but just in that transition time and in prayer. And then I began to reach out to a couple other brothers, I think,
Okay.
after that. So a little time after that.
Yeah, my impression is you were. I mean, you were a devout Christian at a certain level, devout, church going Christian. Is that true?
Yeah.
Basically, kind of like everybody else in a sense. You weren't wavering or anything like that. You were raising your family, going to church and stuff like that. And then this comes along. That's the way I've
Yeah.
always thought about you. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So,
But I think in years before, let me say this, in years before 2019,
yeah.
I don't think I was what do you say, a true follower of Christ in the sense that to come out and really follow Christ, still doing that, still learning, brother.
That's good. All right. And so now you're sitting there, you're talking to these guys, and knowing you, I'm sure you were very sincere about it. You come to this realization that this is evangelism is what it is.
Yes.
When you came to that, did you know what that meant for you to do, or is the next step figuring out what that meant?
Correct. No, I didn't know exactly what that meant. No, next step was trying to figure that out.
And that's when you got on Google and started searching. And
Yep.
what did you find? I know you found us. What else did you find out there?
There was a couple other things, but nothing that just like, whoo, this is it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A couple other things like with homeless ministries or kind of like Salvation Army things, those type of things. But it wasn't like, didn't really like sit with me like from the Spirit like this did.
And then when we were talking, I guess you found did you find Rain comfort in that process? I'm sure you found him.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And there's great comfort, yeah.
Okay. So then we got on the phone, and then I remember our conversation, and because we were going to Indianapolis for the college football championship, I think Heath and Greg and I can see it's Jacob.
Yeah.
What? So we're talking. When we were talking, not that I remember everything. I'm not trying to talk about me. I'm trying to say what was going on your side. What were you thinking? So we're talking first thing about doing this, and then the second thing would be actually going with us to Indy. What were you thinking in those conversations?
We was going to go to the frozen city, weren't we? No.
It was frozen that weekend.
It was. What was I thinking? I was thinking, Lord have mercy. I can't do this, and we can't. Of course, we all know that now. It's got to be by God's Spirit. But I took some counsel from from you, brother, to take that step.
Were you scared?
A little bit, not a lot, just
Really?
a little bit of nerve.
Okay.
It was, you know how the Spirit of God works. Just gives you that whoop to to go out and do it.
Cool. So all that process, God kind of speaks to you. Let's call it that. You talk to your friends, other things. You're convinced that this is what you do, and in our conversation, you're just confirmed in doing it. You've never done it,
Sure.
but you're pretty confident that this is where you were going, right?
Yes.
There's definitely in your life, you have certainly significantly taken a lot of initiative along the way. In your case, you have taken what I would say is more than normal initiative. That means you on your own, like going to UTC and other things, you've certainly been more proactive than
God in glory. That's for sure.
So on the first trip, so we go, we'll explain the sort of the fleecing of it, and then we go to Indy. Explain that.
Well, I guess the first time when we're out on the streets in Indy.
Well, no, before you said I'm going, you said I'm not sure if I can go. We fleeced.
Oh, yeah.
Describe that.
Oh, that was cool. It was where I said, well, I got to get off work. Spur of the moment. It was like a week later. What
Yeah,
if I remember?
something like that. Yeah, yeah.
And Bill, and you say, well, let me call you the next morning on your way to work, 5:45, and we'll pray about it. I remember that like it was yesterday, man. And sure enough, we did. And I got the time off from work, and then you picked me up at my house that afternoon. I guess that was a Wednesday or Thursday, and we head on up to Indianapolis. Yeah.
What did you think about being with Heath and everybody? Was it like, hey, this is great? Were you nervous, or did you think these guys are, a little off or anything like that? Or hey, this is what I was looking for?
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
I felt just that instant connection, like
really?
Oh yeah, like that brotherly connection that we could share, and be open and honest, and bear one another's burdens. God says,
Cool. So then we get there that weekend. Just talk about your experience and just take a few minutes to talk about that.
It was great. It was just I didn't really know what to expect, but I know we were just proclaiming Christ, man, in the open air, the open cold air.
Yeah.
And if you remember, the fans earlier on kind of wasn't out, and then as the day went on, they got out a little bit more and more, and so great location there in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Good spots, and to preach and hand out tracts, and had some good interaction with folks too that weekend, one-on-ones.
So immediately you were interacting, you were doing it, engaged in the middle of it immediately, and that sort of set the hook, if you will, for just, hey, I'm in it, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So you get home, I drop you off, and then what do you start thinking? Because, like I said, you took a lot of initiative. What began to?
I think I remember, mainly just sharing with my family. And, I think I know this is what the Lord wants for me to do. And then I don't know if it was shortly after that we kind of began looking at UTC and going to that some.
Yeah.
And now I kind of hit a gas station nearby sometimes also. It's a good little preaching place, location.
Plus in Chattanooga, I mean, you found the bridge, right?
Oh yeah. The bridge, and of course out in front of the aquarium's a good spot.
Yeah.
Whenever they do have events. Of course, they've canceled a couple of them here recently, so
how did you just seemingly automatically just start thinking about it? That usually doesn't really happen. Is that naturally, like if you do something, you're all in? Or were you just attracted to this, like for the sake of the salvation of sinners? What was happening in your spiritual world to move you forward?
Oh, it's definitely God thing, man. He just kind of, I guess, burdened or impressed this in me too.
Really?
Yeah, there was one verse that I guess for a couple months came over and over and over in my mind. Go into all the world and preach the gospel, and it was just like, okay, Lord. And so I think that was the main driving desire, was from His Spirit, through His Word. Do I always obey that rightly? No, but
that's awesome. So now talk about you've been in a couple of years, you've been to some events, you hosted the River Bend stuff. Just talk if you were going to share with some guys or listening to you, share with them what it's been like and how you've enjoyed it in a sense and grown. Let's talk about that.
I mean, I've enjoyed it. Number one, just the fact that God would choose a weak vessel as ourselves to proclaim His mighty word, on the streets is just like, wow. And then, that's to give Him all the glory, on the streets. That's the first thing. But then there's going to be challenges. You're going to receive, if I could tell other brothers, you're going to receive pushback. You're going to receive flack from people, scoffing. But it's like God grows you through that, where it just kind of goes, you know what I mean? I know you know what I mean. But and then, but you just keep at it, you know. Even when you get discouraged, even when you get down, you keep at it. And
So
that's when we can encourage one another and rely on other brothers in Christ for that encouragement.
your family, both your close family and your extended family, what do they say?
My close family is, pretty supportive. Like my wife and daughter, and my parents, pretty supportive. Siblings, they know, but they're not like all in with it or whatever. But they're aware. So
Church, the church people, because you brought one of your pastors out one time. How are they supportive of you, or just?
Yeah, well, that wasn't a pastor. That's my best good friend.
Oh, really? Okay.
Brother Craig.
Okay.
He's just a strong follower of Christ, and yeah, he's been super supportive and encouraging in it. And he and I he leads our small group class at our church, and time to time I may teach too, when he needs it. So, pastor, like I said, he's supportive of it, but he doesn't get out. If I could say that with all due respect.
Sure.
I mean, he may on his own, but he's not come out with me. I'll say that.
And then out there, tell some stories like at different places, like a couple stories from UTC and down on the bridge in River Bend, and just things you run into that have caught your attention.
Well, UTC, not often, but occasionally you'll have some one-on-one conversation, and running into that fact that people are not aware, as Bodie Bachman would say, that they are sinners. So we need to share that message that we all have sinned, so they'll be aware of that, in our preaching. And so you get that kind of engagement, and you might get somebody that may stop and engage you about that, or may tell you a little bit of their story, and so it's a time to share with those people. You never know what somebody's going through, and they may spill stuff on you, or they may not. And same thing on the bridge. Whereas if the walking bridge, it connects Coolidge Park, downtown Chattanooga, and there's just a lot of foot traffic going back and forth, and so it's an opportunity to really just continually proclaim the gospel and hope and pray for interaction with folk.
River Bend, what about that?
Oh yeah. That wasn't. We did do it last year. That's right.
It was like 3 or 4 years, I think. Didn't it? 2 or 3,
Yeah.
3 years.
2 years, two for sure. The last 2 years, we've been able to have a group there at River Bend, and it, as you well know, the attendance has dwindled down, and I don't know if that's led to why they're not hosting it this year, but it's a good atmosphere for foot traffic. The way the streets are set up in front of the aquarium, where the entrance is to River Bend, and those streets that connect, so we get a lot of interaction with folks and foot traffic, and again, it's a good time to proclaim the gospel and give out tracts and share with people.
You've also been to Nashville for the Music City Grand Prix.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different environment. Talk about that a little bit.
That's probably one of my favorite of the ones I've been to cities.
Yeah.
Of course, Lord willing, or by God's grace, going to be going down to St. Petersburg in March. But Nashville is just a great setup. With the pedestrian bridge, in front of the Music City Hall of Fame, and then with the Broadway, or the Crazy Way, I guess I could say. No,
Yeah.
It's just a great layout, man. That city, really wide sidewalks, and it's always bustling. So there's always foot traffic, always people that'll hear the gospel. or at least be passersby and hear the word. And on Broadway, it's so full of people that there's no question that people are hearing the truth of God's word. And it's all. I just like the layout of that city for preaching. I know you've said that multiple times about Nashville.
What about the fellowship there and those kind of things? Being with other guys?
Sweetest there is, brother.
Yeah.
When you get together with, let's just say 10 to 25, like-minded brothers, and just, man, and you lift up the name of Jesus in song, and then the teaching that comes through some of those events that we have too is nice. And then of course the fellowship and and the food too. Can't leave that out.
Nice. It is pretty amazing. Well, cool. Well, anything else to share you'd like to share about it? If you're going to encourage people to pursue this a little bit, again, what would you say, or what instruction would you give them to sort of figure it out?
Well, I heard you say earlier that you got at least 3 more spots available for St. Petersburg, Florida. So I would encourage somebody they want to contact Bill Adams, my friends, and
that's true.
Come on and join us, man. Okay. Go down to St. Pete in March. Probably pretty warm. We might be 20 up here, but it may be 75 down there. You know what I mean?
That's true.
But no, I would just encourage guys to, first and foremost, pray and just continually put it before the Lord. And I think he'll give you that sense of direction, I guess, and peace about pursuing this kind of ministry as you pray.
Yeah, I think a good point. I think, this kind of stuff, it's really it's just you got to go out, and that's certainly it's not unusual in human life, but it's in the church world. It's typically not what goes on. We're typically inviting people to the building, to Bible study at the house. So in other words, you got to get up and go. I mean, that's a must. And the other is definitely praying about it. You're right, and then keep on praying. I find that certainly has been the cornerstone of the whole thing to keep you rolling. What how, like, if someone's sitting there and they say, Brad, I've never really thought about this before at all. Like, I love going to church and this and that. What would you tell them to pray about in general? Not like pray so you can begin open air preaching, but what is the issue at hand to go from faithful attender to proactive in the Great Commission?
Yeah.
Therefore, what would you tell them to pray about?
I'd pray about if they wanted to just maybe witness it with me and just come along. That'd be wonderful. And if they don't want to preach, anybody, my brother, can take a tract and hand it out.
That's right.
They can give you a gospel tract, give you whatever. Anybody can do that. And the Great Commission, going to all the world and preach God, well, make disciples of that, but I think I would encourage somebody just to take that step. Even, I'm not saying to go out there and preach the word, but that's the goal, is to preach the gospel, but come alongside someone, even whatever city you might be in. Even Bill could connect you with folks that he knows in that city are doing it regularly, right? And just go alongside them and at least witness it and pray about it and hand out tracts and then see what God may do. Does that make sense?
Yes, sure. That's a good point. I think, like I was telling somebody today, that the thing that we don't understand is once you get a Christian out there, there's an instinctive response to what you see.
Right.
The challenge is to get out there in the environment.
Yeah.
And then it sort of takes over a little bit. God sort of moves you forward. And then if you see someone preaching or something, you watch people respond, typically people are struck at the responses, and that's a motivator as well.
Right.
So that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cool. All right, Brad, anything else to share?
I'm just looking forward to St. Petersburg now, brother, in March. That'll be here before we know it.
That's true. That'll be a lot
Of course,
fun.
I pray you guys that are going to the Super Bowl, the Lord uses that in a mighty way to proclaim His word there.
Oh, that's true. Should be warm weather out there. A lot of people on the street, kind of like Nashville, should be a good time. Yes, St. Pete's a good spot as well. And I think there's 7 of us now.
Okay.
And so, like I said, so that's good. It's
Maybe a
amazing.
couple more will join us.
Today about and this will take many people to live in an environment. That's the beauty of this kind of stuff. And so,
Right.
Cool. Your family doing okay? And anything else? Anything to pray for you for? Just keep on praying for you.
Yeah. My daughter, she may be looking to go to college after she gets out of high school this year. So praying about that.
Okay. There you go.
She just told me I am going, Dad.
I am good. All right. Okay, cool.
So.
And the church? Everything good at the church?
Yeah, just fine. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Brad.
They need to be a little more reformed, but it's okay. We'll
pray. Have you brought that up to him yet?
Maybe in some subtle ways.
Okay.
Anyways.
All right, brother. Well, it's good to be with you. Thanks so much. Sorry for the confusion this afternoon. Did y'all have a good time? Did it go well with Steve?
Yeah.
Did you do good?
Yeah. He told me he's going to be at the Super Bowl. So
I think with Mark. So
yeah, with Mark in that bunch. So yeah, it went well. Good time.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll miss you in Las Vegas, but I'll see you in a month or so.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Brad. Thanks for tuning in.
All right. God bless.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
I think, friends, you learn a lot right there and seeing how the process works. If you are sitting there and you've never thought about, typically that seems to be the way calling works. God prompts us to take a step, and a lot of times we don't really know what to do. And then we talk to people and they don't necessarily know what to do either. And so there is this searching part of this process. Look at people who have done what you want to do. That could be being a missionary, Bible translator, a pastor, a teacher, evangelist, lots of things. The work of the Christian church, while it's simple, preach the word, disciple people, there's a lot of variety the way that gets accomplished. And so lots of opportunity out there. We got 8 billion people on the planet. Saw a stat the other day, 3.4 billion have not heard the word, don't have a Bible. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of opportunity out there. This is not a job that's close to getting finished, or we're on the precipice of getting it done. It's a job where you might say we're a little behind the curve. And so if you have any spiritual prompting here to get out and do some evangelism or something else, call me and I'll put you in touch with Brad. I'd love to connect y'all and get out. You can go with him, UTC, and other places. So Brad tells a good story of someone who sought it out and got his feet on the ground and has been persevering in the work ever since. And so it's a good story to hear, and he does a great job. So thanks for tuning in, friends. Hope to hear from you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.